Welcome to our Middle East briefing show. Today, we're diving into the dramatic shifts happening across the globe. First up, Europe is waking up to a new world order, one driven more by strength and force than diplomatic rules. Leaders at Davos are recognizing this chaos and trying to find a new strategic path, balancing between rearming and reforming their principles. It's a tense but fascinating moment of change. Next, in Iran, the protests have turned brutal. Videos reveal a horrifying scene of bodies in hospitals, snipers on rooftops, and a crackdown so fierce that almost no internet can reach the outside world. With thousands of deaths reported, the fight for freedom continues amid severe suppression and unrest in major cities. The violence highlights the ongoing struggle for human rights in the region. Finally, a touching story from Australia. A woman named Adriana Turk uncovers her Jewish roots through a DNA test after her brother's passing. What she thought was a wiped-out family turns out to be full of surviving relatives worldwide. Her emotional journey reminds us how science can reconnect us with our past and give us hope for the future. Please continue to watch for more details. The South China Morning Post vividly depicts Europe's awakening to a new world order where traditional rules no longer hold sway. At Davos, European leaders openly acknowledged that the rules-based international system, which once underpinned stability and predictability, is unraveling at an alarming pace. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz described this era as one built on power and force rather than law, while Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever expressed concern over dependence on the US, warning that backing down could mean losing dignity. French President Emmanuel Macron warned of a brutalized Europe vulnerable to vassalization in a lawless global landscape where strength trumps legality. This realization has driven Europe to seek new trade alliances and reform international institutions, yet contradictions persist, such as the EU's internal disputes over trade deals and its cautious approach to reforming the World Trade Organization, revealing an identity crisis. The continent is caught between adapting to a carnivorous world and safeguarding its foundational principles, with leaders calling for honesty about the fractured system and a pragmatic shift from ideological ambitions to realpolitik. BBC reports on the harrowing scenes emerging from Iran amid its brutal crackdown on protests. Verified videos show a grim tableau of bodies piled inside Tehran hospitals, with at least 6,000 confirmed deaths and fears that the toll could surpass 25,000. Snipers are stationed on rooftops, and CCTV cameras are being destroyed as protesters attempt to evade heavy surveillance. The protests, sparked by calls from exiled opposition figure Reza Pahlavi, have spread across 71 towns and cities, illustrating widespread unrest amid an almost total internet blackout that hampers documentation. Footage reveals protesters facing lethal gunfire, including armed men in military uniforms firing on civilians and snipers perched on rooftops, illustrating the regime's violent suppression. Despite the blackout, some access the internet via satellite and VPNs, and the country's economic struggles intensify as the government's crackdown continues, painting a picture of a nation teetering on the brink of chaos and repression. The Associated Press details the controversy surrounding Alaska's mishandling of state funds, focusing on former Revenue Commissioner Adam Crumb's deviation from legal protocols in investing millions from the state's savings. An outside review by Wilmer Hale revealed that Crumb bypassed required due diligence and legal approval, risking the state's financial stability. Crumb's decision to invest $50 million with the private equity firm Digital Bridge, without proper vetting, resulted in a loss of roughly $859,000 after selling the investment, highlighting a breach of fiduciary duty. Though no criminal wrongdoing was found, the investigation raised serious concerns about procedural lapses and the need for stricter oversight. Crumb defended his actions, citing efforts to keep investments transparent, but critics, including lawmakers, argue his process was flawed and advocate for legislative measures to prevent similar mistakes. The incident underscores the risks of unvetted investments and the ongoing debate over how best to safeguard Alaska's financial future amid questions of accountability and governance. The South China Morning Post reports that Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has taken a groundbreaking stance by outlining a third path for middle powers amid the tumultuous decline of the US-led international order. During his speech at Davos, Carney boldly critiqued the current global system, exposing how the strongest nations often flout the rules, turning economic integration into a weapon of coercion. His diplomatic efforts, exemplified by his pragmatic Beijing visit, aimed at recalibrating Canada's reliance on the US and fostering strategic independence through diversified alliances and investments in energy and AI. Carney's vision emphasizes values-based realism, advocating for sovereignty, human rights, and strategic cooperation, while warning against the false choices of competing with hegemonic powers or succumbing to subordination. His call for middle powers to unite via flexible, issue-specific coalitions reflects a revolutionary approach to navigating great power rivalries, emphasizing collective strength over isolation, and challenging Western political complacency to forge a more autonomous and principled foreign policy. Meanwhile, Yahoo US details Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem's stern warning that his group will retaliate against any attack on Iran, amidst Israeli strikes targeting Hezbollah infrastructure in southern Lebanon. The IDF confirmed strikes on Hezbollah's weapons facilities and the killing of key operatives, including Mohammed al-Husseini, who was involved in restoring artillery capabilities and planning attacks against Israel. Qassem's rhetoric underscores Iran's pivotal role in supporting Hezbollah, framing any aggression against Iran as a threat to regional stability and accusing Western powers and Israel of perpetuating a narrative of arrogance and oppression. His warning signals a potential escalation, as Israel continues its targeted operations, heightening fears of a broader conflict in a volatile region where Hezbollah vows to defend Iran at all costs, emphasizing the fragile and tense state of Middle Eastern geopolitics. Deutsche Welle vividly captures the complex and often tense experiences of Berlin's young Jewish community following the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. The article highlights the increased anti-Semitism, with Jewish individuals like Tim Kurakin, a Bavarian student, sharing stories of physical assaults and heightened caution in public spaces. Security measures have been drastically intensified, with police protection now a common sight at Jewish cultural centers and public events such as Hanukkah celebrations at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate, reflecting the growing threat environment. Despite these dangers, many young Jews continue to live openly, engaging in community activities and asserting their identity, though they remain wary, especially around political demonstrations and social media. The community's resilience is evident in their efforts to maintain a vibrant Jewish life, even as they grapple with rising far-right influence and anti-Semitism linked to both the political landscape and ongoing conflicts in the Middle East. Australian Broadcasting Corporation stories delve into personal journeys of discovery and the digital dangers lurking online. Adriana Turk's story is a testament to the power of DNA testing, revealing her Jewish roots and reconnecting her with relatives she believed were lost forever in the Holocaust. Her emotional journey from believing her family was decimated to meeting her Israeli second cousin exemplifies how modern DNA technology can forge new bonds and provide profound personal closure. Meanwhile, the ABC also reports on the disturbing presence of extremist content on social media platforms like TikTok. An account celebrating the Bondi terror attack and promoting Islamic State recruitment was active for over a month before being removed, illustrating the ongoing challenge social media companies face in policing violent and hateful content. Experts emphasize that extremist groups leverage digital platforms for radicalization, highlighting the critical need for stricter regulation and vigilance in the online space to prevent the spread of violence and extremism. The ABC further explores the broader implications of online extremism, emphasizing that groups like Islamic State continue to expand their digital footprint to reach vulnerable audiences worldwide. Professor Greg Barton of Deakin University underscores the persistent threat posed by social media, where radical content is often disseminated with little oversight, despite existing measures to detect such material. The online recruitment efforts are particularly concerning as they target impressionable youth, grooming them through engaging, often hidden, content. This digital expansion of extremism underscores a significant challenge for governments and tech companies alike, seeking to balance free expression with the imperative to prevent violence. As these platforms become battlegrounds for ideological influence, the stories remind us of the urgent need for comprehensive strategies to combat online hate and extremism, safeguarding both individual lives and societal stability. Foreign Policy vividly recounts the disturbing events in Minneapolis where U.S. Border Patrol agents, amidst tense protests, brutally murdered Alex Preddy, a man recording their actions. Multiple videos from different angles clearly depict the agents tackling Preddy, allegedly confiscating a legally owned firearm, and then shooting him multiple times. The Trump administration immediately branded Preddy a domestic terrorist, falsely claiming he threatened the agents with a gun and intended a mass attack. This aggressive disinformation campaign mirrors the earlier smear of Renee Good, another innocent victim killed by federal forces in Minneapolis, where officials swiftly accused her of malevolent intent without investigation. Both cases reveal a disturbing pattern: the government's tactic of defaming victims, dismissing evidence, and rallying online supporters with manipulated narratives, echoing the long-standing Israeli and authoritarian regime's strategy of muddying facts to shield perpetrators and delegitimize victims. This narrative warfare, amplified by social media algorithms and bots, shifts focus from truth to partisan allegiances, serving to protect oppressive actions and maintain impunity, regardless of overwhelming evidence to the contrary. These tactics aim not just to distort facts but to entrench ideological divides, turning complex tragedies into polarized ideological battlegrounds, with the full backing of state power, making accountability elusive and perpetuating cycles of misinformation and violence. The Associated Press reports on Southwest Airlines' major transformation as it shifts from its iconic open seating system to assigned seats, marking a historic change in its customer service model. Historically, Southwest's "Find Your Own Seat" approach allowed passengers to check in 24 hours before departure and secure boarding groups, with early check-ins landing in the coveted A group, ensuring prime seats. This system fostered efficiency, profitability, and a sense of fairness, until increasing pressure from investors and changing customer preferences prompted a drastic overhaul. Starting Tuesday, the airline will implement an 8-group boarding process, with passengers assigned seats based on fare class, loyalty status, and additional purchases such as extra legroom or priority boarding. The new boarding passes will show seat assignments and groups, and travelers requiring extra space must now purchase an additional seat in advance, a shift from the previous flexible policy. These changes, including the end of free checked bags in 2025, reflect Southwest's effort to align with larger carriers' practices, driven by a desire to boost profitability amid a competitive airline industry. CEO Robert Jordan emphasizes that the new system aims to meet evolving customer needs for transparency and convenience, acknowledging that the old open seating method was increasingly seen as outdated and less appealing in a changing travel landscape. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.